Hello and welcome to the GM overview for the 7 Dooms for Sandpoint Adventure Path for the Legacy version of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. For those new here, my adventure overviews are divided into 2 parts. In this first video, I will discuss the themes and general story of the campaign, but it will be objective in nature and somewhat light on spoilers, especially regarding the adventure's final act. This is so GMs can get an idea of what the adventure is about, but not spoil so much that they wouldn't be able to enjoy the adventure as a player should they watch this and decide not to GM it themselves. My next video will be for those GMs who want more information. There I will present my personal thoughts about the adventure as well as full context for parts of the story that are missing from the Part 1 video. In the Part 2 video, I will also answer questions that are posted to the comment section here. And before we start, I should also mention that Paizo did provide me a copy of this book. 7 Dooms for Sandpoint is unique among Pathfinder adventure paths in that it is only 1 book long, which might cause some people to wonder how is this any different from a normal standalone adventure. And the answer is simple. It might be only 1 book, but it's a long book that will take players from 4th level all the way to 12th. So it's sort of 2 normal adventure path volumes in 1. The reason Paizo did this was to celebrate the 200th issue of Pathfinder Adventure Paths, going all the way back to 2007's Rise of the Runelords for Pathfinder 1st Edition. As such, this adventure serves as a love letter of sorts to where it all started, the city of Sandpoint. The story revolves around an ancient evil long since sealed beneath the city and a Mothman priest attempts to release it. Unsurprisingly, this connects to several of the themes and characters from Rise of the Runelords, and specifically its first volume titled Burnt Offerings. The adventure begins with the players being invited to Sandpoint Cathedral, a temple of Desna that held its dedication ceremony during the opening scene of Rise of the Runelords some 17 years earlier. Without going into too much detail, that first book of Rise of the Runelords tells the story of Nualia, a young Aasimar woman who was shunned by the people of Sandpoint until she turned and pledged her life to the evil goddess Lamashu, mother of monsters. Now, nearly 20 years later, Nualia's body has been stolen from the cathedral's graveyard and the players have been hired to investigate. This leads the players to an ancient underground ruin of Thessalonian nature that plays out as a 14-room dungeon crawl populated with a variety of creatures, but most notably undead versions of familiar foes from Rise of the Runelords who survive an undeath as ghouls. This culminates in Father Xantus, the town's religious leader, attempting a ritual to commune with Nualia's spirit and seek forgiveness for how the town treated her in life, a prospect that not everyone in the community agrees with, and leads to a social encounter where the players will need to calm the angry members of the community long enough to converse with Nualia's spirit. This also plays out as a social encounter using the influence system from the Game Mastery Guide, during which Nualia's spirit reveals that there are 7 dooms in Sandpoint's future. In Chapter 2, the players have an opportunity to perform some research and investigation before continuing with the adventure. This will bring them in contact with a few more familiar faces in Sandpoint before moving into Chapter 3, where their investigations lead them to a treacherous vertical dungeon known as the Pit. The Pit is a mega dungeon, not unlike those found in Abomination Vaults or 1st Edition's Emerald Spire. The players will descend into the Pit and pause as it opens into a level for them to explore, at the end of which they'll be able to resume their journey deeper until it opens into another level and repeat. Between levels, the players will be able to return to Sandpoint to recover and also face a few significant non-dungeon events, many of which are triggered by the players' actions within the Pit. The first significant level of the Pit is a 15-room goblin lair, at the end of which the players will encounter yet another familiar foe from the past and the first of the 7 prophesized dooms. In Chapter 4, their exploration of the Pit continues to a shrine dedicated to the Sandpoint Devil, another monster that may be familiar to 1st edition players and is an analog to our real world's Legend of the Jersey Devil. This is another 15-ish room dungeon crawl populated with a cult that worships the Sandpoint Devil and culminates with the revelation that the second doom is, of course, the Sandpoint Devil itself. In Chapter 5, the players continue their descent deeper into the pit and break into the upper level of an ancient Thessalonian ruin that specifically researched the means one of the Runelords used to escape death during Earthfall. And currently these ruins are now home to a cult of Diro who worship the Outer Gods. This location is a 20-room dungeon crawl, the ends of which reveals that the third doom once again connects to a familiar face from Rise of the Runelords who attempts to poison the residents of Sandpoint. Chapter 6 takes the players to an even deeper level of the pit that was envisioned as a temple to various demon lords, but remains unfinished and is more a complex of caverns and tunnels. This level has 12 rooms with familiar foes from the Darklands and also holds the 4th doom of Sandpoint, cultists performing a ritual to bond the Sandpoint Devil's spirit with their leader so they may ascend as the new Sandpoint Devil. In Chapter 7, the players continue their exploration into the pit and arrive on a floor dedicated to the research of clockwork creatures. This is another 15-room dungeon populated with serpent folk cultists, fungus creatures, and of course clockwork automatons. In Chapter 8, which is the penultimate chapter of the book, the players finally arrive at the bottom of the pit. And that is where I will pause for now. As is my custom, I prefer not to discuss the final parts and conclusions of adventures and trust that what I have shared so far is sufficient for GMs to get an idea of what the campaign is about and whether or not it's worth checking out further. Suffice to say, in the remaining 2 chapters, the players will travel to a new location away from the pit, a final villain will be revealed, and the remaining dooms will be faced. So there you have it, an overview of 7 dooms for Sandpoint for prospective GMs. I will be following up this video with another that shares my personal take on the campaign, so be sure to share any questions you have in the comments, and I'll try to address as many of those as I can in the next video. Just keep in mind that I have not played or GM'd this campaign, I've only read through it, so I may not be able to answer some questions such as those about encounter balance. The second video will also discuss some of the spoiler material I omitted from this video. And as always, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who supports me, whether that's by clicking the like button, subscribing to the Patreon, or subscribing to this channel. Thank you for all you do to support me. With that, thanks for watching, take care, and happy gaming.